Hey everyone, welcome back. I figured I'd do a little video detailing movies I like that aren't very people aren't very fond of, at least the ones I've met. My friends hate some of these movies and some of my friends like them, but most of these movies people seem to hate. So I'm gonna start off with the movies. I've got a couple games too, PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Oh, we got one more. For the Xbox. No, it's not Halo Reach, which some people liked. I never really got into it. So the first movie, One Missed Call, 2008. Rotten Tomatoes butchered this film. Now, some of these films in this pile I've already reviewed. Um, this does not deserve the shit it gets. This is actually a pretty damn fun movie. If you don't enjoy it, that's cool. If you do enjoy it, that's cool too. But some people don't even give a reason for hating it, and some say there's bad acting, bad storytelling. Well, it's trying to Americanize Chakushin Ari, so you gotta give it credit. Granted, it's a shot-for-shot remake, just with different actors. Now, I've talked about this in my remakes video. It's one of my favorite remakes, but this is hated by so many people. Now, the original one is one of my all-time favorite thriller movies, or horror movies, whatever you want to call it. But I have a soft spot for this one, and nobody seems to really like it. Not even my friends. My uncle thought it was alright, and that is When a Stranger Calls. Now, this movie, I can see why people don't like it, but to truly hate this film and spit on it is just ridiculous because it's not that bad. Yeah, it's a remake. So these first couple are going to be remakes, and the last one might be a remake. Black Christmas also has Katie Cassidy from When a Stranger Calls in it. A lot of people hate this movie too. They said it was just a gore fest and no substance. Well, I thought it had a good substance. I thought the plot was alright. Pretty simple slasher plot. Sorority girls end up getting harassed by a perverse killer, and it turns out the killer is living in the attic. Spoiler alert, everybody knows the story. Now we get into some sequels that some people hate. Jason. My all-time favorite serial killer in any type of horror movie. And he had to go to space. I went to the theaters to see this. I had a damn good time. Uh, I I never saw a Friday the 13th movie in the theater before, so this was a new experience for me. Um, I was so used to like the 80s Jason, I didn't see Jason Goes to Hell until way later in my life when I was around 8 or 9, which was about when this movie came out, 2002. But the DVD came out in 2003. Apparently, people pirated this movie, and it was done way before it was released in theaters. And when it did get a release in theaters, nobody went and saw it, so it didn't do anything at the box office, which is a shame because this is a damn fun film. The only problem I have with it is they did not do anything with Uber Jason, and I'll talk about it way more in October when I talk about the Friday the 13th movies. Now, the most hated of the sequels in the From Dusk Till Dawn series. No, it's not the second one, which I really enjoy all three of them. This one is kind of in the middle. It's my third favorite, so not my favorite of the franchise, but it's got a soft spot in my heart. Um, From Dusk Till Dawn 3. Now, this one is more of a comedy action movie. I will talk more about this when I review From Dusk Till Dawn 2, which I do not know when that will be. Hopefully soon. And overall, I just really, really enjoyed it. Fun as hell. I had a blast with it. My sister liked it. My mom thought it was funny, and she usually doesn't like comedies, but she does like some westerns. And this was like a crossbreed between the two, uh, with vampires, so you get a good amount of stuff. Now, another sequel that everybody hates on. Nobody, and I mean nobody I've met, likes this movie. I think I've only come across one person that likes this movie, and it's not even one of my friends. Um, it's hated by most of the people in my family. It's hated by most of my friends. It's hated by some of my acquaintances. It's hated by a lot of people here on YouTube, and so you gotta give it up for considered to be the worst of the franchise, Seed of Chucky. Everybody hates this movie, but I don't hate any Chucky movie. No matter how bad it is, I still like it. And it's understandable why people hate this, but so many people have such disdain for this movie, it's not even funny. And this is meant to be a funny movie, but most people didn't like the humor. They thought it was stupid. They thought it was really perverse. Now we get to two movies that I reviewed. There's they're both incredibly hated, incredibly uh, misunderstood, and incredibly downright de- deplorable in most people's eyes. And that's the Jingles series. I talked about Mr. Jingles. It's one of my favorite low budget movies, but not one of my favorite killer clown movies. I can respect what they were trying to do, but it takes forever and a day for Mr. Jingles to show up as a demon. Jingles the Clown, up to the ante. I actually like this better than Mr. Jingles, even though it's made on a cheaper budget. Jingles does more stuff in it, and he's more vicious. And he has sex with his victims as he's killing them, so you've got to give credit for that, because I don't think I've ever seen a killer do that. Now, a series that I reviewed, I reviewed all four, well, not all of them, but I reviewed the first four in St. Patrick's Day video, and most people might remember that, and most people probably know what I'm talking about. The most hated series ever to come out of horror. The most hated horror series of all time, next to theaters and whatnot. Leprechaun. I love Leprechaun. I love Leprechaun 1. I like Leprechaun 2. Leprechaun 3 was alright. Leprechaun 4 was a piece of shit. Leprechaun in the Hood was. It could have been better, but it was alright. It was more racist than anything. And Leprechaun Back to the Hood tried to be real serious, but uh, it was like they were making two different versions of Leprechaun. They wanted him to be scary one minute and then be funny the next. But it's kind of impossible to make a Leprechaun scary, at least in my eyes. But I enjoyed the Leprechaun movies, except for the fourth one. The fourth one, not really a big fan of. Okay, now I recommended this to a lot of people, and nobody really messaged me back, so I guess they just weren't interested, which is understandable. The Shokushin Adi series, aka One Missed Called the Original. Um, these movies, I love all three of them, but my favorite one is the third and final one, also known as Shokushin Adi Final. Um, the films, they didn't do well in America, but yet somehow it ended up getting a remake in 2008, which 2 years before that, the third movie came out. Why do we have to remake Japanese movies right after they came out? Like, so close together. And here's a film a lot of people like, but then again, a lot of people hate. I like the movie. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video. It wouldn't even be in the video. Evil Dead. Yes, I picked this up today. I went to the theaters to see this, and I had a blast. Granted, it doesn't have that same feeling I had when I first watched the original back in like 1995. Yeah, I was watching horror movies when I was 2 years old, and one of the first ones I saw was Friday the 13th, Part 2, and Evil Dead. Not this particular one, of course, for the people who don't watch my videos and have never even heard of Evil Dead, which I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of Evil Dead. Um, this film was alright. Like, for a film in 2013, it's one of the better ones I've seen in the theater. It beats the hell out of that Texas Chainsaw 3D, whereas Matt, Rambo Rapid Life, and OCP Communications call Texas Chainsaw 3Dicks. So, they didn't like this movie. And, my family does like the movie, but I have some cousins who do not like it. They said it totally disgraced the original. It was pointless. It didn't have a good story. And I thought it had a pretty decent story. A druggie who goes to a cabin owned by her parents. So they changed the story and they made it their own. And this is a time when different is actually good. And I'll get to that in what's coming next. Now, this movie relies heavily on its gore. Now, there should be an unrated version from what reviewers say who like the film. I don't think there should be one, but if they do, so be it. But I really enjoyed this movie. I'll be talking about it in October. So, yeah. Now, not really a remake, but it's a quasi-sequel remake, even though it says sequel. A movie I reviewed 2 times. I reviewed the R-rated cut and the uncut version. Blood Feast 2. Oh, so many people hate this movie. Why can't they like a low-budget movie just for the sake of at least they're trying? The gore in this was excellent. And it got a lot of good reviews from horror critics like Bloody Disgusting, which I don't really agree with most of their reviews, but this is the one time I do agree with them. I hated the hype about this movie. I was reading, I forget where, but Herschel Gordon Lewis said it would be the goriest film of all time. Really? Really, Herschel? Have you ever seen Dead Alive? Dead Alive is gorier than this. Now, granted, this is a really damn gory movie, but no. Not as gory as Dead Alive or Evil Dead 2. Nope, another remake. Well, that was a sequel, of course, but here is another remake of a Herschel Gordon Lewis movie. Wizard of Gore. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was better. Yes, I am saying it. I thought this was better than the original. Even though some of the parts of this movie can be confusing, it requires multiple watches. And I like that. Because the more you watch it, the more you figure out stuff. Like, you're able to point out, like, the foreshadowing stuff. And Crispin Glover did a really damn good job as Montague the Magnificent, and Kit Pardue played a damn good protagonist slash antagonist. If you've seen my review, you'll know what I mean. Okay, down to the last three movies. Well, four movies. Uh, Everybody hates this film, and I can understand why. Why do I like this film? Terror Teens 2. You can only get this online, and I got it for 13 bucks. Was it worth it? Hell yeah. Um, but I can understand why people hate this. Why do I like it so much? I had a blast with it, but why? Why do I like a movie like this? I usually like straight up horror films, and most of these movies I've been mentioning are horror films. But this one is just plain ridiculous. But still a damn fun movie. Now, uh, for the second to last two movies, The Hitcher. The remake, not the original classic, but the remake and the sequel to the original. The Hitcher 2, I've been waiting, with Jake Busey. Everybody hates it. I understand. It's not a very good movie, I will admit that. But I liked Jake Busey's performance. He played one damn cool psycho. He and C. Thomas Howell are what kept the movie going. Now the Hitcher remake, not as good as the original. I won't ever say that. You will never hear those words come out of my mouth. But I like it for what it is. A slasher film with cheesy dialogue, and I hate that word cheesy. It gets thrown around so much, but uh, the dialogue is pretty cheesy, and some of the some of the stuff in it is just plain impossible. I'll get to it when I review it, but nothing even comes close to how great the Rutger Hauer film was. And apparently Rutger Hauer and the original director, the director who originally made the original Hitcher, didn't even bother watching the remake, so that says something. Now we get to one of the most hated movies of all time. Yes, it came out in 2007. Yes, it's made by one extreme horror director. And it's made by a really awesome singer. And you know what that movie is? Halloween. I like this movie. Yes. I really like Halloween Rob Zombie. Or Rob Zombie's Halloween. I got the unrated version. I just to have it in its full version, even though the only thing that makes it unrated is the rape scene, and the rape scene is unneeded, but I like unrated stuff. It says one of the most frightening stabathons of recent years. I wouldn't go that far, but it was a pretty decent film. I'll talk about it in October. Rob Zombie, I like House of a Thousand Corpses. I never watched the full thing of The Devil's Rejects. I've only seen the beginning, a little bit of the middle, and the end. So I never watched the whole movie. I saw it in bits and pieces on different days. I never had the DVD. But this movie, it gets a lot of hate, but I can understand why. They said it was a butchered remake of a classic, which, you want to see a butchered remake, also known as a prequel, The Thing 2011. Yes. Yes, that movie is just plain bad. Worse than this, but there is one more movie worse than Halloween. Halloween 2. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. That was a disgrace. This movie was decent. I'll give it a rating, but you'll hear it in October. But Halloween 2 was a disgrace. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Um, Now we get into the games. Oh, oh, let's get it. I'll show off the PS2 one first, since there's only one. Simpsons Skateboarding. A lot of people hate this game. They say it's got bad controls, which is true. They say the tricks are horrible, which is true. They say it's not fun, untrue. I had a blast with it just because it was The Simpsons, and I like most of the stuff from The Simpsons. Granted, the movie wasn't all that great, but the games are pretty damn decent. My favorite one, though, is Hit and Run. Now comes the grand finale of this video. The first one... Oh wow, I'm gonna be doing this in alphabetical order. I didn't even plan that. Evil Dead Hail to the King, aka Evil Dead version of a Resident Evil ripoff. Just put Bruce Campbell in, and it's pretty much Resident Evil with Ash in it. That's what a lot of people say. This does have its own things in it. Most of the stuff is from the movie, thankfully. But I understand why people hated this. But I had a blast with it. It was harder than hell. This is quite possibly one of the hardest games I've ever played. I played Black. I've played Mega Man 2. But this isn't as hard as those, but this comes pretty damn close to Mega Man 2. Because you die in only a couple hits, you have to keep refueling your chainsaw, and you run out of ammo super quick. So, yeah, Evil Dead Hail to the King is harder than hell. And if people are wondering why it's a different cover, it's because I bought it at a comic book shop. I won't say which one for the people who don't live around me. From Dusk Till Dawn. A lot of people hate this game. I liked it, but it won't play in my laptop, which sucks. But I've gotten pretty far into it on a Windows XP. It's a pretty fun game. You go around staking vampires. First you daze them and then you stake them. Pretty fun game, but it gets a lot of hate because the controls were pretty wonky. The characters didn't do much, and they said no shit dialogue, and it was mostly profanity. And plus, it didn't have George Clooney playing the voice of Seth, so that pissed a lot of people off. But I liked it. I thought it was alright. It was made in between the second movie and the third movie. I actually think the third movie and the game were released on the same year, just different months. Now, Twisted Metal 3. One of the most hated Twisted Metals. One of the most hated. I'm about to show off the most hated in a minute or so. This one sucks because of the endings. It does not suck because of the gameplay. The gameplay is awesome, but I am not going to hate a game just for the endings. There's a lot of games I have with bad endings. Then again, I also have a lot of games with good endings. But I can understand why people hated this. Now, we get to the Mac Daddy of all bad games. Maybe not as bad as E.T. or Dark Castle on Sega CD. Not CD, but Philips CDI. But a guilty pleasure for me. Twisted Metal 4. Oh, how everybody loathes this game. Man, I'm getting tongue-tied. But you've got to give it credit. It's the first Twisted Metal game to have memory card support. And it's the second game in the series to get 1 to 4 player multi-tap support. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to say this is a good game. I'm not recommending it. But if you're a Twisted Metal collector, seek this out just to have it as part of the collection. If you want to play a good version of Twisted Metal 4, play Twisted Metal PS3. It's pretty much the real Twisted Metal 4. Or Twisted Metal Black 2. Twisted Metal Head On is the real Twisted Metal 3. Like, the story for this is pretty simple. Sweet Tooth takes control of Twisted Metal. But Sweet Tooth isn't known as a serial killer. He's just known as a crazy guy who loves being a clown. And crazy clown at that. Is there any more movies and stuff that people hate? Oh, forgot the Xbox game. Everybody hates this game. I have never seen more than one person like this game. I am the only other person, other than the person who liked my video when I did an unpackaging of this. Thank you, by the way. At least I know there's somebody out there who likes this game. I played it. It's pretty much like what the guy said. He said it's like Cops and Robbers, and it's Cops and Robbers with a hip-hop soundtrack, which never really been into hip-hop, but I do enjoy Public Enemy, I do enjoy NWA, I enjoy Spice One, I enjoy Blaze It at Homie, ABK, Tech 9, Lil White, and Esham. I like him as a singer, I don't like him as a person. I heard he's a total asshole in real life. So, yeah. I'm not hating on the guy. He might actually be a nice guy, but I've heard too many things. I've heard more negative things than positive things. And this only has one positive thing on the back. Solid action for fans of SOCOM. Now, I wouldn't go that far. SOCOM is an alright game, but this is just below SOCOM. Beat the Law or Break the Law. 22 songs total. Well, 20. 27 songs total. Over 50 weapons to choose from. There's only a couple chapters in this game, and they go by pretty fast. So this game is really short. Like, you could probably beat it within about 6 hours, maybe less. I'm close to the end of the game. I'm in Mexico, or Tijuana. And I'm close to the end of the game from what I read on Wikipedia. So, all I can say is, that's my list of all the movies I enjoy that a lot of people hate. But they're not everybody's cup of tea, I understand. But don't knock a film or game just because you heard bad things. Yeah, I knocked Esham, even though I don't know the guy. I'm sorry, but when you hear so many negative things, like all this stuff, how he treats his fans, you start to wonder. Um, and the thing about these games and movies, don't hate them just for the sake of hating them or hearing about how bad they are. You be the judge. You decide if they're good or bad. You play them, you watch them, you you just watch, play, and just be entertained. Because these games and movies are awesome in their own way. You've got to think, uh, like a true fan of horror, comedy, uh, violent video games. You gotta respect what they're trying to do, and that's what I take it as. Like, at least they're trying. Be it they're trying something different, or they're trying to make a tribute or shout out. At least they're trying. Like, what more can you ask for when it comes to your games and movies? Like, Michael Bay, I don't even think he tries. Like, most of his movies are just CGI. I don't want CGI in my movies. I want practical effects. Like, yeah, some of the movies I mentioned have CGI in them, but it didn't rely heavily on them. So all I can say is enjoy your games. Like, if somebody hates one of the games you're playing, just remember it's your opinion, and your opinion matters to you. It might not matter to one person, but opinions, everybody has one. So all I can say is peace. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and I'm out. Catch you later.